Alright, hey folks, I'm back. I'm going to be bringing you another commentary. We've got some more IPL4 action coming at you. I'm going to be trying to do as much of this as possible this weekend. This is going to be the winner's bracket final between TSM and Dignitas. This is game 1 of the 3-game set. I don't know if it goes to 3 games or not, as I have not watched these. What we've got here is a recording of the stream, as always, the disclaimer, I don't control the cameras here, and so on and so forth. You can watch the official stream, although they don't actually have recordings of these matches on the official website. At the moment, I had to find someone else who'd recorded it. But I find the official stream focuses the commentary on things that are too basic. And I like to get a little more in-depth, so that's what we're going to be trying to do. I know a fair amount about both TSM and Dignitas, more about TSM, because I watch especially Chaox's stream, but I have watched all of them. I'm very interested to see how they do since they swapped out Rainman for Dyrus. I haven't watched them in a serious match since then, so I'm interested to see how Dyrus meshes. I'm gonna get the video underway here. I don't know if we don't actually have picks and bans information for this game, so I'll be pausing shortly to talk about the picks. Right here. Dyrus has a reputation, while I'm talking about him, for being like one of the nicest and calmest players in Pro League of Legends, so like more power to Dyrus. It's nice to see people who aren't douchebags. Anyways, so it looks like what we've got is, for TSM, we have Scara on Ryze, Dominate on Mundo, Imaqtpie on Corki, Locust on Taric, and Voyboy on Lee Sin. I don't know what order all of these were picked in. And on TSM, we have Dyrus on Vladimir, Xpecial on Janna, TheOddOne on Nocturne, Chaox on Graves, and Reginald on Karthus. So, what jumps out to me immediately is that we've given Xpecial Janna, one of his two preferred support heroes. He really likes Janna and Sona, and Janna is really, really strong in this version. So I'm curious as to what the bans were that they got rid of, that they left Janna in. TheOddOne has done like 4 Nocturne tutorials, is one of his favorite junglers. I expect that we'll be seeing Lee Sin beat Vlad top lane, because Lee Sin has, it's just so hard to lane against Lee Sin. He can just safeguard to a creep and then you can't damage him. And he can just last hit every creep for free. But when you go up to last hit, sometimes he'll get a, whatchamacallit, his Q plus Q dash E on you, and then you get totally wrecked. Taric Corki is a very aggressive lane. It's like a kill lane, whereas Janna Graves is a very defensive lane. So I expect that Chaox and Xpecial will come out a little bit ahead of Locust and Imaqtpie there. Although Mundo with Exhaust pressures so hard from the jungle, so we'll have to see. And let's get this game underway. In the later game team fights, I expect that the enormous AoE potential from TSM is going to carry it out. If they let the game go too late, then Dignitas is going to end up in serious trouble, because just having Karthus and Vlad constantly AoEing with the sort of sustained damage over time from Karthus. And yeah, there you go. Voyboy has already gotten Safeguard first. We're getting a bit of stream lag here. I hope that's stream lag and not me. Checking the timer. Yep, it's stream lag. Alright, so hopefully this clears up. Otherwise, this is going to be a little annoying to watch, but I think these are important games to watch, and I just love watching TSM play, so we're going to do it. As I said, I'm going to be doing as much casting as possible over the weekend, and hope to get this whole set in and the finals in, if possible. Failing that, I will probably skip the last 2 games of this set and just do the finals, if I can't manage to get all 6 potential games cast. The these videos were just released when I'm doing this casting, so the finals have not yet been played. Both teams being very defensive, neither team seems to want to commit to an invade. I feel like if they did invade, Dignitas would be slightly advantaged, but the teams are close enough in terms of level 1 fight, and neither team has much in the way of stuns or, you know, like powerful level 1 nukes and so on. There's no Alistar or anything along those lines, or Blitzcrank that sort of necessitate an invade, so it makes sense. We are seeing the bottom lane for TSM is heading in to try to jack this golem. That's going to be a last hit fight between Chaox, who has the damage from Janna, and Imaqtpie, and Imaqtpie gets it. Okay, really nice last hit there. They did have to leave one little golem though, so that's gonna make the camp not respawn. I think they actually could have stayed there and cleared out that little golem. So that gives a slight advantage to Dignitas' bottom lane, but I think their lane is just not very well set up to win that lane. So we will see. Ryze obviously has a pretty strong early game advantage against Karthus. And as I said, I expect Voyboy to win that lane, so I'm expecting that if both teams play really well in lane, that Dignitas wins top and mid slightly, and TSM wins bot by a fairly wide margin. See, as I said, Voyboy does safeguarding for creeps. It was just so hard to deal with that Lee Sin playstyle. And already he's up 9 CS to 2. Mundo clearing the jungle slightly faster than Nocturne. He also has... Nocturne went boot first, so TheOddOne's going to have to base soon, whereas Mundo can keep going. So that's going to give Dominate a bit of a gold advantage in the jungle there. Of course, Mundo does need the gold advantage over Nocturne. Looks like we might get... No? Oh, alright. So he got really low and ended up having to base. Actually, I'm not sure how he managed that. Mundo shouldn't get that low if he's cloth 5. Maybe he's running full AD spec? That would be interesting for like extra fast, like full offense spec for extra fast clear. Looks like we're getting a gank going down mid, and the casters have twigged to it, but that flash should be enough, yep. And Skara escapes. TheOddOne pre-spell shielding there in case of the root. Obviously good if you're planning to go for a dive, although Skara, because he's a Ryze, could maybe have cast one of his very short cooldown other nukes and then rooted Nocturne under the turret. Which of course is why they didn't dive. So very smart conservative play coming from both teams. As I was saying, a slight CS lead for Lee Sin over Vlad, a slight CS lead for Karthus over Ryze, although that gank helped a lot. And Skara should get a bunch of creeps, should pick up a bunch at the turret there. And actually Corki staying very even with Graves so far, although I don't think that the farm differential in that lane is going to kick in until a little later on, when Janna shield gets strong enough that Chaox can really start harassing with buckshot. Many of you may know that in my own play, I play AD carries, and there is no one I hate laning against more than Graves. And Corki is probably my second least favorite hero to lane against. Very short cooldown, powerful nukes make them really frustrating to deal with in bottom lane. I watched Dyrus do some practice on Vlad before this tournament, like actually a lot. So clearly TSM thought Vlad was a pretty important hero to learn for top lane, because Dyrus had not played Vlad before. So I'm interested to see how he does, because at least a couple weeks ago when I saw him stream a couple games, he was clearly not comfortable at all with the hero. So if he... But obviously TSM feels that he's comfortable enough. Oh, the lag is getting kind of annoying. Obviously TSM feels that he's comfortable enough with Vlad to pick him, so it's a testament to the player's skill that he's able to pick up a hero so quickly. Assuming, of course, that they're right about it and he's not just gonna do terribly. Miss all his hemo plagues. Forget to stack up his E. It's really nice that skills come on keys like that because it's so much easier to remember than the actual name of the skill when you're casting. That's one thing that pretty much every caster who I have ever listened to talks about, is that it's impossible to remember the names of skills in the middle of casting. Or units or anything. I listened to a very entertaining cast with Tasteless from StarCraft, where he forgot what Zerglings were called for a really long time. It was pretty funny. See a little bit of aggression from Voyboy. Dyrus just gonna use some pots. Very hard to push Vlad out of lane, obviously, but Lee Sin should be winning this CS war slowly, as indeed he is, with a 7 creep lead. I really like this dragon attempt from TSM. They sent Ryze back, they know Mundo's back, and this should be just a free, easy dragon from them. And it's decisions like that that TSM's strength as a team, is identifying exactly when to do things like that. They are not as strong. Historically, they're not as strong in lane as some of the other teams, like CLG, for example, has excellent lane mechanics. But TSM just picked up a really smart dragon, so that puts them in a pretty fair lead here. Oh, that hit there is gonna really suck for Voyboy, although the Requiem coming in from Karthus, plus the Hemo Plague tick. Okay, so both teams used a bunch of summoners and a bunch of ults. If Voyboy hits that Q, then Dyrus will die, so he has to be really careful. Does OddOne have ult off cooldown? He does, yeah, so that should be an easy kill there. Wasn't actually as easy as I thought it was going to be. They had to flash for it, but he did have flash and ult up. What he did there that was his mistake was he ulted to Lee Sin, and then he auto-attacked instead of stepping behind him. If he'd stepped behind him, then after Lee Sin's jump away, he still would have been in range for that auto-attack and wouldn't have had to flash. So slight mechanics error there from OddOne. But they pick up the first blood. Pretty valuable and very important for Nocturne to get an early kill. Nocturne is one of the junglers who scales extremely well into the late game. We have Mundo up a bunch of CS on Nocturne, so that's going fairly well for Dignitas. Dominate doing what Mundo does. Blue buffs for both mid lanes mean that that's just a push fest, but Karthus pushes better than Ryze, so I expect we'll see Reginald go up a little bit of CS on Skara over the next little while. He's already up 7. Looks like another gank attempt is going to come in on Voyboy. I don't think this one's going to succeed. I mean, Nocturne ult is down, Flash is down. He does have red buff, but I don't think they can do anything. They may just be trying to push Voyboy out of lane and knock the tower down, but it looks like Nocturne's going to back off. We've got Dominate continuing to just clear creep camps. It's obviously good as a Mundo. You can just clear creep camps pretty epically. Already has a Heart of Gold, so that'll mean that he's going to get a lot of gold on into the mid game. I'm interested to see what his build is here on Jungle Mundo. Lee Sin going an interesting double Null Magic Mantle build. You see that a lot against APs. And Reginald doing making the excellent choice of stealing enemy wraiths when he pushes to the turret. I love it when AP carries do that, and they have a good ward to support him doing that, to make sure that Dominate's not in the area and he's not going to get murdered. And that sort of thing is pushing him up CS consistently on Ryze here, who is not able to capitalize on the small early advantage Ryze has over Karthus. So it looks like TSM are coming out ahead mid lane. They would really have liked to get Dyrus that kill top. Because then, if he'd had that kill, he probably would have a will by now instead of just the Hex Tech. But yeah, that Nocturne ult plus, yeah, Karthus Vlad ult. Getting the kill on Karthus is obviously excellent. Karthus just scales so well, he gets free kills not even being there. So he can become incredibly strong late game, and then it doesn't even matter if you burst him down, so he can just build pure damage and be nearly impossible to handle. So 2-0 for TSM, and they're up a dragon, so a convincing lead at this point in the game. They are starting to pull ahead consistently bottom lane. Yeah, as I was saying, I expected them to win that bottom lane, and Chaox is now up 20 CS on Corki, even though neither jungler has been down there yet. It's actually interesting to see how much the teams are focusing top. It's possible because, yeah, nothing's going to happen there. It's possible because TSM got that very early dragon. Normally you can't send your jungler top because the other team will just do the dragon, but since TSM has already done the dragon, both teams are spending a lot of time top lane. I really like this choice by Dominate to get this early oracles. We saw in the last game that I cast from this tournament, Epic not doing that, and it cost them against V8. But the early oracles for the map control and the dragon will be up pretty soon, so clearing out those wards is going to be really important. And because Mundo gets so much gold because he jungles so quickly, and doesn't actually need a ton of gold because mostly what you want him to do is throw cleavers, oracles, Mundo's a really good hero to hold oracles. He also is obviously very difficult to kill. TSM gonna excuse me. TSM going to pick up the blue buff for Karthus. Dyrus doing the smart thing and pushing to Lee Sin's turret as much as possible. Looks like we're getting a confrontation converging bottom lane. Mundo's sort of coming in, but Chaox and Xpecial are playing so far back that it's going to be very hard. Dragon has just come up, and Dyrus is pushing the top turret, so really hard for Voyboy to leave. He's interestingly not taking the turret. Let me see, Xpecial has just ulted them away from an attempted dive. And then they stuck around in that Janna ult, which is a decision I really like, to keep themselves healed up for when this dragon fight probably happens. If they hadn't done that, then they'd have just given a free dragon to Dignitas. It's interesting how long Dyrus left that turret up. He's trying really hard to continue to zone Voyboy, and he is in fact winning that CS, but that CS war. But unfortunately, their bottom lane and mid lane for TSM were too low to contest that dragon, so a free dragon for Dignitas. That's good, really nice for them. It'll get them much closer to being back in this game. They're still down about 2k gold even after that dragon, so that sort of sucks for them. And with the top turret down, Dyrus is able to contest this blue. And actually, TheOddOne gets the smite there and jumps in, interestingly, with that ult. And they think they can win this, and they are going to win this. Really nice Hemoplague. Oh, the kick almost killed TheOddOne. That was really sad for Voyboy. But Reggie picking up 2 kills there. Reggie and Dyrus each picking up a kill. And that's going to be hell for Dignitas to deal with Karthus at 2-0-1, Vlad at 1-0-3. Both of them with a convincing CS lead over their lane opponent. CS is really favoring TSM right now. They're also 4-0 and up 1 turret. dragons are even. So, very solid lead for TSM at this point. Vlad's going to base and I assume pick up his will here. Looks like Xpecial's going down though, yeah. Nice dive by Cutie-Pie and Locust. Janna ult was not enough to save herself. And that's very helpful, getting Corki that kill. It's interesting that Corki has gone for that crit cloak rather than getting a damage item fast. Usually you don't see that. You see teams getting, if you're not able to pick up the BF sword, you get the pickaxe. So I wonder what he's doing. Maybe he's getting a fast Phantom Dancer? No, he just picked up a BF sword and he's going Infinity Edge. So that's an odd choice, getting that crit cloak. I really don't like that. You just don't get any damage from it. Karthus has Rod, Sork Shoes, and BF Sword, and please stop lagging, stream. Oh, the frame rate. So he's extremely strong. We see the will finished on Vlad. One thing that I didn't get to talk about earlier is that Vlad actually went Doran's Shield as a second item, which you almost never see Doran's Shield in games because it's kind of a bad item. It just doesn't give you very much for the gold. And so it's interesting to see that he felt like that was the right choice against the Lee Sin. Probably this is because he doesn't want to build a cloth armor into anything. Otherwise he'd have gone cloth armor and maybe gotten something like an early tabby. That's usually the choice if you need armor. So I guess the Doran Shield makes a fair amount of sense for that lane, just as an item that he can throw away very quickly in the mid game. I expect he won't keep that for very long. Even the slot for potions and wards is going to be more valuable in the mid game than that Doran Shield, actually. Chaox continuing to CS pretty well. Actually has lost a lot of his lead over Cutie-Pie, but this is made up for the fact that by the fact that Karthus is now 50 CS up on Skara, who has a chain vest, Nocturne cloak, tier, and catalyst. So he doesn't actually have a finished item of any kind. Usually Ryze doesn't get a finished item; they get things like catalyst, glacial shroud, tier, but it's going to be pretty tough for them to deal with not having any real items on Ryze, while Karthus has a full Rod of Ages and most of a death cap at this point, I suspect. 210 CS at this by 19 minutes is obviously excellent, and that's because he's been stealing all the Wraith camps. Yeah, gets the blasting one, so almost at the death cap. I expect when Karthus gets his death cap finished, TSM is going to try to force some kind of fight. Usually when your AP mid finishes a major item, or your AD carry finishes a second major item, that you want to start forcing fights. So I suspect that because it'll take Chaox longer to finish his probably Eye Edge, but maybe Bloodthirster. He has BF Sword and Vamp Scepter. That they will be taking their cues from Reginald. Ugh. Alright. This is very hard to commentate. Hopefully it clears up for the team fights. Luckily, so far the lag has mostly been in the laning phase. As I said, if they release replays for this tournament, then I will happily switch to replays. In fact, I would be thrilled if they did that, but since Riot Games doesn't officially support replays, I suspect that will not be the case. At some point I intend to stream my rant on the politics of that and why it is awful for the game that they don't have replays, and very damaging to the pro scene, but that now is not the time because we have a team fight going down. The lots of focus coming out on Mundo, and Chaox getting caught out by that binding, but they're all standing in Defile there, and they get Hemo-plagued by everything, so, yeah, big Vlad ult is going to get a bunch of kills. Reginald ult finishes off Dominate. Scarra can turn here in 2v1 Xpecial. Yeah, okay, he finally figured it out. TheOddOne had no mana. There's no way that the Nocturne and Janna can fight the Ryze, double buff Ryze. He needs to right-click him. Why doesn't he right-click him to slow with the red buff? AP carries often forget that you can do that, because they don't get red buff that often. Whoa, a little bit of warp lag there, but it looks like Nocturne escaped, although barely, and mostly I suspect because Scarra didn't right-click him and slow him with the red buff. Another team actually picked up the dragon there, but that did come out slightly ahead for Dignitas. Ryze getting up to 3 kills there is going to be really important. Also, having double buff for this next fight. Hopefully they can get... he needs to walk next to Locust and let Taric heal him there. Unless Taric doesn't have heal. Yeah, they actually didn't have Taric heal Scarra there. That's pretty confusing. Team setting up for the next fight. They're really hoping that Dignitas is initiating on Reginald, and Reginald does bait that very well. Scarra getting caught out. He's going to get burst down, but he's so tanky. But he does, in fact, go down, and Reginald's Defile is just doing work here. Reggie actually living at a sliver of health. Hemoplague comes back up just in time, and I think Voyboy is going to go down as soon as the lag clears to a Buckshot and a Hemoplague tick. Nice stun going down on Dyrus. That's obviously the right choice because he's the one with the Ryze who can do the slowing, but just the burst damage from Chaox, who still doesn't have a real item, but is just so strong because Graves is so strong early game. And they should be able to get this mid turret if they push for it, although Chaox is going top to clear creeps, so they won't. But that's obviously very important. That's an enormous creep wave top lane that that you really want to get on Chaox there. Who with his 200 odd CS, plus he has 7 assists, ought to be getting a real item sometime soon. Deathcap finished on Karthus. He's got a blue pot as well. Yeah, there's an eye edge on Chaox. There's a Phage on Nocturne, along with the Wriggle's Heart of Gold. Gold per 5s on Janna. Ryze, Will, Sork Shoes, be a needlessly large rod on Dyrus, who is 6-1 and 6. So my fears about his Vlad play totally unfounded. Will finished on Ryze. That's an interesting choice. I haven't seen that before, but I actually like that a lot to complement his native spell vamp. Spirit Visage Aegis finished on Mundo. I'm actually not convinced by that on Jungle Mundo. I feel like Aegis doesn't give him enough sticking power, especially to this team who are pretty mobile and can push people around and sort of kite them around with Karthus wall and stuff. He needs a Phage or something in order to be able to force the enemy to actually hit him. Eye Edge finished on Corki, who took a lot of damage clearing that turret, but they did get the turret. Taric with gold per 5s, and Lee Sin with the Hex Drinker item, the new one, which I always forget what it's called. Oh, the Hemoplague misses there. Brutal, but they do kill Scarra. If he'd waited half a second on that Hemoplague, he could have hit Voyboy too, and they probably would have got him as well. They're thinking about forcing the Baron. Yeah, they're going to do it. I like this decision with that pick on Scarra, who's by far the strongest champion for Dignitas. They should be able to get this Baron fairly easy. Flash in from Reginald to get Defile on everyone, and with the teams all clustered up like that, as I said, the AoE from TSM is just unbeatable, and that beautiful Karthus ult just murders Cutie Pie. And you notice that Reginald did not use his blue pot for that, so, he popped it now. Okay, well, that's great. Now it's all better. So yeah, he didn't use his blue pot in that fight, but his ult still brought Cutie Pie down from half health. It's alright, Reginald. I do that too. When I forget to use my pots, I will pop them after the fight so that my team doesn't notice. You guys know you do that too. Just as Zeal finished on Graves, actually. This is pretty late. Usually you'd expect Edge Phantom Dancer to be finished by 26. But both AD carries lagging behind a little, and I'm actually not sure why, because their CS is quite solid. And Chaox has 10 assists. So, I don't know where the gold for his Phantom Dancer went. He must be like 200 gold off. Reginald now going Spell Vamp as well. The double Will of the Ancients is going to be really strong. That's just so difficult to deal with. One thing that I haven't mentioned is that Will of the Ancients on Vlad means that Karthus doesn't have to buy it, because it's not he really wants that rod and that death cap first. But it does mean, oh, Chaox getting baited. Super bait for Skara, and he explodes instantly. Oh, that sucks so bad. Really nice play by Cutie Pie there, who actually got taken down to half by one crit from Chaox and the Karthus ult. Needs to get himself some magic resist of some kind. But yeah, really nice bait by Dignitas. And actually with Chaox down, they might be able to make something happen, although Chaox is not the strongest, not a big part of TSM's lineup at the moment. I was focusing a lot more on the mid and top lanes than the bot lane. TSM is running what I like to call like a soft AoE comp. It's not where something like an Amumu Morgana, where if the AoEs don't work out, then you just lose, but if they do work out, you win every time. But they just have a bunch of heroes that are excellent in team fights because of their AoE damage, like Graves, Karthus, and Vlad. So when Dignitas clusters like they did at that Baron fight, it's really, really difficult with the Hemoplague enhancing the Defile damage. It's nearly impossible to survive that. Ryze has finally finished a bunch of real items, so he's pretty strong, but against this Baron buff, oh, come on. This is the first real bad lag we've gotten during the team fights. I apologize for this, guys, but we work with what we have. It's interesting the casters are talking about how TSM has been putting wards really close together all game. Just look at the wards on this map. That's another thing I haven't gotten a chance to talk about because I've been motoring on non-stop. But TSM's warding has just been so aggressive and so constant. They've had just a ton of wards on the map the whole game, which is why I really liked that Oracles from Dominate earlier. But they didn't pick one up again after he died. It looks like TSM, yeah, should be able to clear this creep wave. Dealing with the turret with that creep wave, they decided to back off, actually. Not sure why. I think they could have sieged down the turret. I guess Dyrus was pretty low. But they'll be able to transition and maybe knock down another turret, or just take the outer turret's bot lane. Just make something happen with this Baron buff. Also, we're seeing Oracles on Xpecial. Very hard to die as Janna unless you're dying for something. Like, you'll often die in team fights to save someone, but just getting caught out as Janna is usually not a problem, so Oracles is very safe on Janna. One of the hardest heroes to chase in the game. Chaox is going to back up and take the red buff, presumably. And we're going to see Dignitas cluster for bot lane. Interesting choice here. I don't think they're going to try to push. Or if they do... Whoa, Cutie Pie is in a really dangerous spot. They have no vision out here. For all they know, TSM could be right there. And Cutie Pie was totally cut off. Really odd choice by Dignitas to be pushing this. I guess they figured they need to force a fight before the gold advantage for TSM gets too big. I mean, they're down 8k gold. That's a pretty solid gold disadvantage. Still no Phantom Dancer on Chaox, although there is one on Corki now. So, small AD advantage for Dignitas. But the AP carries on TSM are just going to be really hard to overcome. I mean, Deathcap Ryze will on Vlad. Rod Deathcap will on Karthus. Double will just means that they, even if you're focusing them, nice flash wall. That's going to be a team fight, and that's the end of Dignitas. This is game. There's no way that you can deal with that sort of initiation when you're all clustered up like that and running away. Obviously, the surest way to lose a team fight is to be running when it starts, rather than be positioned to handle it. And they're just gonna run presumably mid lane and they'll knock down mid turret. They have another about 30 seconds, so they should be able to at least get this turret and then probably mid inhibitor, and then they can transition. They won't have time to transition top and knock down a second inhibitor turret, but they may actually, because they all split off, not get an inhibitor. Yeah, they're not going to. Xpecial went off to clear this creep wave. It's funny that they sent Xpecial to do that also, rather than sending Chaox and leaving Xpecial there to farm, or to help push and send Chaox to farm. Bunch of farm on Janna is not super relevant, but it will help pick up Australia's. That actually may be why they did that, because they want Australia's. It's interesting actually that they went Aegis before Australia's. Most teams tend to just get the Australia's as quickly as possible. Sort of desperation Baron attempt from Dignitas. They need to try something here, but they're getting all split off, and with the Karthus wall, getting all of them. No Vlad ult yet, though. Okay, there we go. And Dyrus is just going to clean up here. Really nice play by Imaqtpie, though, valking that wall and getting picks with those missiles. But with him escaping, the TSM is going to be able to push in here, knock down a creep wave. The flash for the creeps there as Dignitas hits the surrender. Alright. So a really solid first game coming out of TSM especially, although Dignitas also played very well. They just, I feel like it was that early dragon that set them so far behind. They found themselves caught out of position, and TSM was able to just sort of take the early dragon and that early kill top lane, the first blood that they got on Lee Sin, which caused Vlad to win a lane that I felt he probably shouldn't have if it had been an even lane. But with that dragon down, they were able to send TheOddOne, Nocturne top a whole bunch and keep Dyrus ahead, who played an excellent Vlad, and his Hemoplagues were spot on every single team fight. And they were able to grind out the game just through solid play and good decision making. So, thank you for watching. I apologize for the laggy stream. I wish that it hadn't been. But if you enjoyed the video, please feel free to comment, rate, and subscribe to my channel. I will be hopefully casting the rest of this series, and certainly casting the whole finals whenever that is played. And so come back early and often and check it out. Cheers. GG.